So here we have a Plat Diva on Nimbani, and your team ends up rolling this first point pretty easily. So I'm just going to skip straight to Streets. Now, we just had the Soldier pull Visor up behind you on this right hand side. It's likely he is going to be peeking that balcony, just behind you. And I really don't know why he didn't react to this. You've got to understand that a big part of Diva's job, especially in these dive comps, is shutting down these aggressive threats from the enemy team. And Soldier is a really big one. Now that Diva has her micro missiles, she can sort of get away with solo diving him a lot of the time. And especially when Soldier's pulled ultimate, you really need to try and shut him down. He didn't seem to even react to the fact that he did it, which is pretty sloppy. Sometimes you can miss the audio cue, but it's in a situation that's quite obvious. You didn't even look at him to check where he was, which is really not very good players Diva. Try and remember your role is shutting down their threats, because I'm pretty sure that you would have been able to save your teammates if you dived him straight away. You end up getting through Streets pretty easily anyway, and I just want to point out I'm quite happy with how you played around this corner here. You didn't overpeak it too much, you just sort of contested the corner without taking too much damage. You still took more than I'd liked, but it's really nice to see tank players actually using their map geometry to their advantage. And in general, over this VOD, you're fairly good at doing this, so well done. I just want to point out briefly your booster usage here. I'm not really sure what it was meant to accomplish, but Diva has to be really careful about wasting her movement options and sort of still ending up in the fight afterwards. Especially when the enemy team is playing, I think they're playing Ryan and Hog, who can both sort of shred Diva at these close ranges. I'll talk more about engages onto tanks at the end, but really be careful about using your mobility options, when you're stuck in a fight like this. You didn't really gain anything out of that boosters, and it just made you very vulnerable afterwards, so, try and just use payload discover in this situation, keep sort of playing around it. If you use your mobility option, make sure it either gets you to another piece of cover, or it actually nets you some sort of advantage. Here you just sort of flew in, jumped in front of the Rhine, and then got shredded. So please try and remember to sort of save your mobility options when you're in these mid-fight situations, especially when you're against these sort of, brawling deathball tanks. So again here, and sort of opposite to earlier, you hit the Soldier on the right side, and you just run in and shut him down. It's quite easy for you because it was actually out of the fight, but it's nice to see you actually shutting down these aggressive DPS threats. It is a big part of Diva's job, so keep trying to work on this. Okay, so the nuances of playing Dive into Deathball are quite in depth, so I'm going to try and skim over most of them. If you have any questions, just sort of message me afterwards. But the basics are going to be, you want to try and contest them at range. You want to try and sort of keep the Deathball comps in a nice clump so that your backline heroes can just batter those stats into them. Contest corners, contest doorways, let the rest of your team do the real work, and only go in when you see a really good opportunity. What you definitely don't want to do is, what you end up doing in a second, which is engaging onto a Rhine shield, using your boosters and your missiles to do it. You get almost no value doing this, right? And more importantly, you're now stuck in front of the enemy team with no escape option. You drop down to 63 HP, and you feed them all that ult charge for free. Your Winston has to drop and drop bubble for you. The Mercy comes onto you and has to heal you for, I don't know how long it actually works out at 60 HPS, but she has to heal you for, I guess about 8 seconds. So really, really sloppy. It didn't really seem like you understood your job here, and your job is just going to be to try and contest them at ranges, stop them from spreading out and taking flanks, and most importantly, having that patience to wait for an opportunity before you go in. It's sort of doubly bad in this situation because Diva's generally responsible for dropping down and contesting point, of course, while the rest of the team is still on the high grounds putting that damage in. So wasting all these resources, both yours and your team's, because you pretty much fed into Rhine Shield at the start of the fight is really sloppy. Wait for those opportunities to go in and, try to never engage onto Reinhardt because he's just going to swing into you and build that shadow super fast. Unfortunately for your team, after they bail you out, you sort of throw it again. Now, in this situation here where, your team's done a really good job of keeping them in this room, the only thing you have to do is, keep contesting these doorways. Maybe you can go in here and sort of peek around the corner and check what they're doing, but you really don't want to get caught into a fight here. Just keep contesting them in this room. Try not to let them come out, or at least make it really difficult for them to come out. And most importantly, make sure you don't die. As soon as you peek around this corner here and you see, I think Reinhardt was there too, so this, Brig, Zarya, and Ryan, 3 heroes that just go through your matrix anyway. You really want to think about backing up. Even using your boosters here just to sort of get out of range, but to keep contesting the 2 doorways behind you, that would have been perfectly valid. Instead, you end up sort of hanging around on the front line, you get burnt down from your full health, And then, from here, your team's really going to struggle because you're not going to be able to contest them as they're pushing your DPS. You're not going to be able to contest point either, and I'm pretty sure that the enemy team just sort of roll it here. So just remember that you have to be very, very careful as dive tanks about engaging into deathball. Play patient, set up the rest of your team, wait for those opportunities. There's absolutely no need for you to feed mech, not once, but, twice, basically. So a big thing for you is going to be patience, Try and think about when you go in and make sure you don't go in too early. So I want to talk briefly about your D.Va bomb usage. So I picked out 4 bombs, right? And this first bomb is a bad bomb. Now, it's not a bad bomb because it didn't get any kills, and it's not even really a bad bomb because you fired it straight into Reinhardt shield. That was pretty poor, but it was a bad bomb because you fired it completely out of the fight. And the only way that bomb would have got value is if it got, 2 or 3 kills, or maybe it got the Mercy or something. Like, the bomb that you just threw, it didn't make any space because you fired it straight into Reinhardt shield. You didn't try throwing it up around the corner to catch the kills, and the very little space that it did make was sort of worthless because your team wasn't there to exploit it because you were so far out of the fight. Another pretty bad bomb is this one coming up here. Now, it doesn't matter that it didn't get killed, again, like, it's a lot of people just rate their D.Va bombs on how many kills they get, and that's not really the important part about them most of the time. The bad part is that this was completely out of the fight. Not only are you throwing it towards Zarya and Brig, let's find it. Not only are you throwing it towards Zarya and Brig, who not only can shield themselves, Zarya is actually going to get charge out of it, but they can shield teammates too. And there's also quite a lot of cover there. I think there's a Jeep that the rest of them probably hid behind. Most importantly though, this bomb wouldn't have gotten you anywhere unless you'd gotten enough kills to sort of make them wait and spawn for another 10 seconds. This really isn't going to help you that much. It's not going to get your team anywhere because you're not exploiting the space. On these defense rounds, you want to have these long drawn out fights because you want to sort of burn down the time bank that the opponents have. Even if you had opened this fight up with, 2 kills, the enemy team would have only been waiting for an extra sort of 10-15 seconds, and then you wouldn't have had your ultimate up for the next fight. In general, using your bombs out of fights like this is pretty poor practice, so try and stay away from it. Conversely, if we look at one of your good D.Va bombs, you can see the difference between, the previous ones and this one. Although you have just taken the checkpoint, so I guess you've won the fight already. You can see how much difference there was in a bomb that you pull sort of mid-fight, and a bomb that you pull, out of the fight. Not only does it zone them all around the corner and gave you all of this space for free, but it was also placed in a way that was very difficult for the enemy team to sort of back off. Either, they back off and give you this ground, or they push forward into you and they die. You never really want to just be throwing off your D.Va bombs and hoping for kills. You want to try and be actively thinking about what they're going to do to the enemy team. If we look at another good bomb coming up here, you can see it's in a similar situation. The fight's just started, they're trying to contest this corner, and you throw the bomb sort of, perfectly around this corner. Not only is it in a really good place to get kills, but even if it doesn't get kills here, it's going to zone them out. It's going to zone the enemy team out for miles, right? All this space you just made for your team, they can push it to get kills, they can get free room on cart, they can try and attack those people that have sort of been zoned out into these, the corridors and hallways. So the D.Va bomb here, I think it does get 3 kills, but even if it hadn't got kills, this would have been a really good D.Va bomb placement. So well done, and try and stay on the lookout even more for these types of D.Va bombs that you can throw mid-fight that are really going to help benefit your team.